Hi, and welcome to Your Right on Trust TV, the program where we break down the law and empower you with legal knowledge to understand and protect yourself. I'm Hauwa Usman, your host, and today we're looking at a topic that is very important: our rights as patients and health consumers. Many Nigerians do not know that just like in business transactions, patients also have consumer rights when they seek health care, whether it is in the public hospitals, private clinics, or even in pharmacies. Every Nigerian deserves access to safe, respectful, and quality health care. But what happens when patients are neglected, misdiagnosed, or even overcharged? Do you know you have rights as a health consumer? But how often are these rights respected? And what can citizens do when they are denied quality care or treated unfairly in hospital or health facilities? To help us understand this better, we have with us Barrister Ebenezer Egwuatu, a medical and health law expert and a patient's rights advocate. So before we begin today's discussion, let's hear what some Nigerians are saying about their health rights.
Everybody should have the right to medical treatment. Because it's in the constitution, right to health, right to life. You must be healthy before you can live. So our health care facilities need to be upgraded, at least to meet a certain standard, international standard. At most, the health insurance that is being practiced in Nigeria is not effective, because even when you are under the health insurance scheme, you still get substandard treatment from especially private hospitals, even government hospitals, because you are not paying cash out of pocket, because you are paying from government insurance scheme. They still treat you very poorly, because there is the laws are there, but they are not enabled. They are not monitored or they are not enforced, so to say. And so the issue of police report before treatment, you save the life first before you now talk about police or anything. But why it's not practicable is because most of the private institutions, they spend their money to put this investment, and there's no any funding from government. So if government want the private institutions to treat people before anything, there should be a kind of pool of funds. When you treat and you save that life, you can claim from that pool of funds from government.
Well, I've been in that situation actually with my mom. So, and just because of the medical treatment was being delayed. So, all because of, we're in a situation where we have to make a transfer. Making a transfer, at least you're trying to make a transfer, it's not as if you're not going to pay. Let the medical attendants attend to her and do everything possible, but then it was being delayed all because of, they have not seen alert, they can't make treatment without seeing alert and all those kind of things. So it's not really nice, it's not fair at all. At the end of the day, we still lost her. So that has been like a trauma for me. Anytime I have to go there, like I don't even want to go near any hospital, like I don't even want to have to be in a situation to go near an hospital again because of all these kind of situations. So I would say that is a really bad situation. Like it's very bad for people to go through that kind of trauma because it's not nice at all. So I think the government should work, they should work better towards that. They should improve, talk to the medical personnel. They should try and improve in making things better for Nigerians at least, and all over everywhere. I know it's not only in Nigeria this happens. It happens everywhere. So at least they should try and make improvements.
Let's do first. Be in the hospital, why will contact your family member, or you can contact your financial institution, wherever they can help you. So you should be like, let's wait for you to get the money first. Meanwhile, your health is declining. You understand? Meanwhile, maybe you have an accident, for example, God forbid. Then you go to the hospital, and someone take you to the hospital, and basically you leave you there. You understand? Maybe a good Samaritan left you there, okay? So now they are asking you, how are we going to do it now? For this trip it's so much, for this medicine it's so much. And now you're waiting now, calling on your family member and they are not picking. Meanwhile, your situation is deteriorating. By the time the family member comes and they start applying that drip, the person has already gone. So obviously, but I feel like as a Nigerian citizen, even though we are not, even most of us are not paying tax, there should be a way or a system whereby medical institutions can find a way to assist people who are injured or who are in need of emergency healthcare, or like, for example, pregnant woman. There are some cases whereby I've seen like some people I've seen some people who took their wives to others who are pregnant in labor, and instead of the doctors delivering the baby, they have to tell the husband, you understand, the spouse, to go and get money before they administer her into the labor room. By the time the husband get the money, this is actually a real story, but I can't tell the person's name. By the time the husband got the money, the wife and the kid has already gone. So I would say, but like, I know it's not easy, yeah, but there should be a way if they can actually find people for the poor masses, you understand, to get emergency healthcare.
It is very important for government to empower the medical aspect in terms of like funding our government hospital, our public hospital. We have lost a reasonable numbers of citizens due to lack of funding. You know, like if in the situation whereby someone is badly injured and they say they need a police report like that, I think they should first attend to the person before they check what transpired, what happened before the person got that injury. Every life is important, every human being is important. They should not just wait for police reports. Because of police report, the delay have make us lost a lot of life and a lot of citizens.
Welcome back. You're welcome, Mr. Ebenezer.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yes, so let me begin like this. When we say patient's health rights, what does that mean, really?
Okay, patient's rights. Once you are a patient, we are now talking about health. So patient's rights are those rights, generally, that persons who are seeking medical care in the hospital or healthcare facility have. They are rights that guarantee that the care they are going to receive will be professional, that the care they are going to receive will be safe, that the care they are going to receive will respect the dignity of their person, that the care they are going to receive will be transparent in terms of their billing and all that. So when we put all these rights together, we call it patient's rights. So patient's rights is basically the rights that guarantee professional, safe, quality, and transparent care for a patient, as well as respect for the dignity of the person of the patients.
So I know that there are lots of laws in Nigeria. So what are those basic laws or acts of that we can find some of these rights?
Okay, thank you. I like the way you ended the question, some of these rights. Firstly, let me say that patients' rights in Nigeria as of today are not contained in a single document. So we have bits of patients' rights in the Constitution, which is our ground norm. So the whole of Chapter 4, which you will call fundamental human rights.
Yes, fundamental.
They're actually patients' rights, some of them. If you look at Section 33, talking about right to life.
Yes.
So if you look at the exceptions, sub 1, the exceptions there does not include dying by medical negligence.
No.
It is not. So a doctor that is treating the patient has to take care and ensure that he does not unlawfully do acts that will take the lives of the patient. So a patient has a right to life. A patient has a right to freedom from torture. Has a right to the dignity of his human person.
Respect.
Now, all these are rights contained in the Constitution. He has a right to freedom of movement. We have cases where hospitals detain patients, they say that he has not paid bill or that. Now, all these are some of the patients' rights that are contained in our constitution. But when you talk about health laws, we have our National Health Act of 2014. It has section 20 specifically mentions treatment of patients in emergency situations. So hospitals should not refuse medical care, emergency medical care for to patients for any reason. That's the language of the law. Okay. Meaning that when you say we are on strike, that's a reason. Unfortunately, that your reason is not tenable under the law. When you say you have to deposit 10 million or 500,000 or even 10,000 naira before we commence treatments, if it is emergency,
we'll get to this. But I want to understand the
laws.
Yes.
So we have the National Health Rights. We have the Compulsory Treatment and Care for Victims of Gunshots Act 2017. We have the Mental Health Act. Even the National Health Insurance Authority Act is there. HIV/AIDS Anti-Discrimination Act 2014 is there. And some of these laws, some states have also domesticated them. For the compulsory treatment and care, Rivers State already has one in place in 2022. Then for HIV/AIDS anti-discrimination, Lagos State, as far as I'm concerned, Lagos is leading every other state when it comes to healthcare in Nigeria. So Lagos already has. So there are different laws here. There we also have some regulations. The Patients' Bill of Rights 2018 is there. Then the standard minimum rights of persons with COVID-19.
Which is a policy
the National Human Rights Commission during the 2020 COVID experience came up with a standard guideline for respecting the human rights of persons really receiving treatment in isolation centers. So in that law or regulation rather, you will still see pockets of patients' rights. So here and there, we have patients' rights.
So and all these have been built from our Constitution of the Federal Republic.
Not necessarily from the Constitution. They are also, patients' rights generally are deriving from international conventions that Nigeria is signatory to. So there are a lot of these conventions, starting fundamentally from the Universal Declaration of Human Rights.
Yes.
We have patients' rights.
So I know you started mentioning some of these rights that citizens have as patients. Okay, now tell us some of these rights. You mentioned some from the Constitution.
We will start from rights to information. A patient has a right to information.
To be informed about their health?
Yes, When you say right to information, not just their health, the nature of the ailment is under right to information, the cost implication, the treatment options available, then the probable risk involved in each treatment option, and most importantly, which most times patients are not told, is that they have a right to decline the treatment. And that's the provision of the National Health Act. Section 23 talks about the right to information of the National Health Act. So you have to be informed the nature of the ailments, the treatment options available, not just the treatment option that the hospital can afford or that have expertise in, but the treatment options available.
That is generally available for that. So whether or not that hospital can provide it for you.
For these ailments, these are treatment option A, B, C, D, out of which the patient will choose. Now, you also inform the patient of the cost implication of each treatment option. You inform the patient of the probable risks associated with each treatment option. Then you inform the patient of his right to decline any of the options.
So, if a patient is given the right to decline, so how will that be in tandem with the provision that also affords the patient the right to life and the right to dignity?
Now, when we look at medical ethics, the core principles, one of it is the principle of autonomy, and autonomy says that the patient has a right to determine what should be done to his body. The patient is the Lord and Master of his body. If he wants to take treatment, he can take. If he says, I do not want, the doctor is helpless. And there have been cases, Supreme Court cases, decided in that regard. So that is why, but the patient, there must be provided, the patient has to be an adult and of sound mind, at the time the patient is making that decision. So that's right to information. You have right to consent, informed consent.
Informed consent.
You have a right to privacy. You have a right to confidentiality of your medical record. You have a right to lay complaints. You have a right to treatment in emergency situation. You have a right to your religious observance. You have a right to decline treatment you have mentioned. But you also have a right. You have a right not to be discriminated. When you exercise your right to decline treatments and you change your mind 10, 15, 20 minutes later, you have a right of continuity of treatment.
At that point.
Yes, so the hospital will not say, no, you declined a while ago, so we are no longer treating you. You have a right to continuity of treatment. You have a right to transparent billing. So it means as you're being treated, they are giving you your bill as the bill is accumulating. So the patient follows his bill. Not that the patient is receiving treatment, at the end of the day, he's slammed with a bill of 10 million, 5 million. He doesn't know how the bill got accumulated. So, but if, for example, you go for a surgery and the surgery costs 500,000, you are told. At the beginning, as each treatment occurs, you are given the bill so that you follow the bill. At the end of the day, if your bill is 1 million naira, you are not in the dark as to how it got to 1 million. There is no law in Nigeria that provides for free medical treatments. What we have is treatment in emergency situation. It does not say that the patient will not pay. Because sometimes doctors also engage with me. They say, Ebenezer, this thing you are saying, you are correct. However, these are our challenges. You treat a patient who came in an emergency, and the patient is now, we see some, we say this is government hospital, what have I benefited? So there is no law that guarantees free medical treatment as a right. However, there are programs of governments that can come up and say, okay, for the elderly, they are receiving free medical care. For pregnant women, they are receiving free medical care or subsidized medical care. For children, they are receiving, it's a program per time, but not as a law. So patients, while they have rights, also have responsibilities. And one of the cardinal responsibilities of a patient is to pay his medical bill. Now, if we go to the Compulsory Treatment and Care for Victims of Gunshot Act, Section 1 of that law, because it wants to save life first, says hospital in Nigeria, whether public or private, should receive and treat adequately persons with gunshots, with or without police clearance. That's police reports, which used to be a clog. Now, Section 2 now says the hospital should receive and treat such persons with or without initial deposit of funds. It didn't say you should not pay at the end of the day. The law wants to save life. Hospitals want to save life. When it's emergency, they treat. But after the emergency, you, the patient, after the treatment, you have a responsibility to pay your bill. Because if you don't, tomorrow you will come, there might be no hospital. Because if every other person goes that way, the hospital will not be sustained.
Exactly, because so like I said, it takes a lot to put a hospital
they need to pay
together,
their bills.
so patients have to pay. So, but there are circumstances where you see Nigerians complaining about wrong prescriptions or delayed attention, right?
Yeah.
I know you talked about the promptness in
emergency situation.
Yes, in emergency situation. But there are circumstances where the cases are not emergency per se, but patients get delayed for one reason or the other. So, I mean, what's available remedies?
Let us draw a balance. Nigeria as a nation is suffering from acute shortage of healthcare personnel. Our doctors, our nurses are leaving the country in droves for greener pasture. So that becomes a problem, a challenge. So there is personnel shortage. Now, by WHO standard, it should be one doctor to about 600 patients.
One doctor?
Yes.
For about, in a day?
600. No, a doctor is supposed to be in charge of
in charge of
600.
600 people.
Do you understand?
Okay, at
Now,
the aggregate.
but what we have here, you see a doctor attending to 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, 6,000, 7,000. If you do the ratio of doctors in Nigeria to the population,
what we now
you see
have.
that they are overstretched.
Of course.
So if it is not emergency, while I do not make a whole brief for them, I am not in the hospital to know what other delays. But you also know that we have funding challenge. Do you understand?
Yes.
Equipment challenge, power challenge. Now, if it is something, maybe the patient needs to go for tests and there is no power, the generator is down, the patient has to be delayed. I am not making a case for the hospital, but I'm saying I'm trying to draw a balance because they are not here to speak for themselves. So where there is delay, is it reasonable? Let us find out. We also know that our people are impatient. Everybody wants to be attended to now. Particularly if you are a big man in quotes. As you're coming and there's, one of the principles of medical ethics, the guy talked about autonomy, is also justice, the principle of justice. Equal distribution of available resources. So, without discrimination.
So even the doctor too is a resource that has to be equally distributed.
Do you get it? So, sometimes the doctor, I have a doctor friend who told me some days she sees 100 patients. Now, she has started seeing in the morning, she's hungry, there are lots, the queue is still there. She needs to go and eat.
Of course.
Patients wants to be seen. The doctor needs to be alive to continue seeing you.
So these are things that can only be mediated by the government, improving the welfare.
Unfortunately, the patients are not aware that the doctor is hungry. The doctor will not come out to say, hello, good afternoon, everybody, I'm hungry. Can you give me 30 minutes to eat? Some polite ones might want to do that because communication is also important. So while the doctor is away on his break or eating, the patients do not know what is happening behind the scene. So they are saying we are getting unnecessarily delayed. But that is an aside. There are also where there is deliberate delay. And that is where there's a problem. Where there is nonchalance, where you come in and a patient needs attention and the personnel is fiddling with his or her phone. The personnel is carefree. It doesn't, do you understand now? That one is the one that is not tenable. That one is not acceptable. Where the delay is not reasonable, it's a problem. But
this is quite interesting, and let's take a break from here. Thank you. You're still watching Your Right on Trust TV. We'll be back after this short break. Welcome back. Thank you, Barrister. I mean, you were talking about, we have understood now that it's not just about the medical personnel.
Yeah.
A lot has to be put in place by the government itself because, I mean, even the doctors are only human. The nurses are only human. The other assistants they have are only human. And if condition is not, it's not good for everyone.
The right conditions are not in place.
It's just difficult to operate as much as they want to operate. But even at that, let's hear where circumstances where patients get delayed, like you have said. A lot of people might not know what are the available remedies, for instance.
Now, if we are talking about delay, I would rather we have the question where a patient's rights is violated. Because if we talk about delay, is delay a violation of the rights? But if it is emergency, it is a violation. If it is emergency, under section 20, subsection 2, the hospital, if found liable, we pay a fine of 100,000. The healthcare personnel found liable could go to prison for not more than 6 months. And I usually ask a question. Imagine where a doctor goes to prison and they say, what did he do? They say he denied patients treatment in emergency situation. So if it is emergency, snake bite is emergency. Road accident is emergency. A woman in labor is emergency. Cardiac arrest is emergency. So these things require urgent attention. But the challenge is, maybe someone walked into the hospital And our people, they believe this is emergency, you should be on a stretcher. People should have carried you. Do you get it? So, if it is emergency, it requires urgent attention. So, delay in such circumstance becomes
delay
an
thinking
offense.
that this is not
so,
an emergency.
because you are endangering the person's life. Now, the person can actually go back, get well, because you need to be alive to enforce your rights. Get well, then come back and sue the hospital. Come back and enforce your right. The laws are there.
Yes, so talking about enforcement of rights, this takes us to the issue of breach of privacy or confidentiality. I think you can take it together.
Okay, that's why I said breach or violation of a patient's right, any of the rights. Now, there are different layers of redress seeking. Firstly, there is administrative redress. This is where the victim complains to the hospital management to say, this is what happened, this is what happened, this is what happened. Sometimes it is not as we look at it. It could be personal misunderstanding between the doctor and the patient. It could be information gap. But the person is aggrieved, and rightly so. It could be, the resolution could be by explanation. It could be apology. When the patient, the victim, understands what happened, the grievance might disappear. Do you understand it?
Yes.
But in some cases, it becomes an ego battle. The hospital or the personnel, who are you to talk to me? I'm a doctor. I'm a nurse. Do you get it? And you are nobody, you can do nothing. Now, because of that ego, the patient begins to stretch the grievance to prove that he's somebody, and rightly so, he is somebody. So, administrative redress is you write. I usually suggest that complainants should write. Write to the hospital management. In fact, in every hospital, you will see a Savicom box, complaint box. But I usually advise my clients, write and submit it, get acknowledgement copy. Let it be documented that you have laid a complaint. Then, if the management takes it up, fine and good. If you are satisfied at their level, at that level, fine and good. If you are not satisfied, that is not the end of the road.
So you can escalate it.
You can go to professional redress, which is the next. There is administrative within the hospital setting. There is professional, where you now go, if it's a doctor that is involved, you go to the Medical and Dental Council of Nigeria and lay a formal complaint. Now, what's the procedure of laying complaints there? It you not do in the administrative redress, you wrote, but here you do not write a petition.
Okay.
You go to the court and depose affidavit, stating what happened in the form of affidavit, your name, your hospital number, to establish that you were a patient in this hospital. So your name, the name of the hospital, your card number, and all that. The name of the healthcare professional who treated you, what happened, what transpired. You put the facts down and depose to it as an affidavit and file it before the Medical and Dental Council. I can assure you, they do not take any case lightly. In fact, when I petitioned on behalf of a client, instead of sending the response, because once you file a complaint, that your complaint will be sent to the doctor you complained against.
Okay, to show cause.
Yes, that doctor will write his own response to your complaint. Then the doctor's response will be forwarded to you. If there are new issues that have been raised, you respond to it also, and it will be forwarded back to the doctor. So the way we have in your court setting, where you file, the defendant files and all that. So you do that. Then if a prima facie case is established from this complaint, a panel is constituted and the doctor is tried before the panel. Now, you know, the challenge is people will always say, no, they shield themselves. It's a lie. I can tell you that it's a lie. If you come to the Medical and Dental Council Tribunal panel, Medical and Dental Practitioners Tribunal, Disciplinary Tribunal panel, you will see a professor of medicine sweating under AC.
I think we might have to continue this discussion on another day. This is the much that we can take today. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank
Barrister.
you. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure being here. Thank you.
Thank you, Barrister, for coming today. Every Nigerian deserves health care that is safe, respectful, and fair. Your right as a patient is not a privilege. It is protected by the law. Remember, you have the right to information, to dignity, and to redress when your rights are violated. Speak up, stay informed, and always know that your health is your right. Thank you for watching Your Rights on Trust TV.